you want to be tough on crime or do you want to look the other way? We're not tough on crime, we're not looking the other way. We're saying we're smart on crime.
This morning, City State's Attorney Ivan Bates has planned to revamp his office, crack down on crime this summer, and the prominent endorsements he's made in the primary election.
Instead of playing classical music, Beethoven, Brahms, and the classics, we sort of was like, how do we frame our American roots music around the symphony orchestra?
And from reinventing classical music to now leading one of the country's most prestigious jazz festivals, the history Darren Atwater is about to make out on the West Coast. And hello everyone, I'm Jason Newton. Welcome to 11 TV Hill. A 23-page blueprint filled with goals for the City State's Attorney's Office. This week, Ivan Bates shared his vision to rebuild that agency. The plan not only seeks to modernize the office technologically, but also professionally and in tune with national prosecutorial standards. Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates joined us now. Good to see you, sir. Thanks for coming by.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
When you look at your office, what was different when you got there that you want to see changed? This is a big plan that you want to revamp this office.
The morale. We wanted to change the morale. We wanted to go ahead and give the office a vision, a plan of moving forward so that everybody could buy into the plan, so the community could buy into the plan, there could be trust within the process, and that we knew where we were going.
We knew that when you ran, you made a big deal. I want to get tough. There should be consequences. But part of the speech we heard earlier is being smart about it.
Yes.
How is that different?
Well, we have a balance. So I really believe the criminal justice system must be a balance. It has to be fair. One, if you're going to do violent acts, you must be held accountable, and that accountability looks like prison. But number two, we talk a lot about in our plan about diversion programs. Not everybody needs to go to jail. Not everybody needs to have a criminal record. We want to give people that helping hand to get back on their feet to do the right things. But we sometimes need to give them that little push to move them in that direction. We're saying is we're here to be service, we're here to protect, but you're also going to be accountable by giving the community service.
Do you think that that office yours was behind the times? Do you feel like when you compared it to other cities, that you felt like we were lacking in any way, and how so?
Well, I think the previous administration, they had a different philosophy.
Okay.
And that philosophy, whether it's good or bad, everybody makes that choice, but the philosophy looked sometime the other way. You had prosecutors who were demoralized because they didn't really have an understanding of really what their job was in terms of, should I go hard on an individual? Am I not supposed to go hard on an individual in terms of what's going on? What are the factors I take into account? But what we've really tried to do, we've tried to say, and this plan says it, witnesses and victims, especially the victims, you are the focus of the office. Okay. You are the individual we're listening to, and we're here to serve and support the community. We talk about things called facts: fairness, accountability, collaboration, technology, and setting the standard. So we now have a model that the people in our office can live by and work by, and the community can hold us accountable with.
The community would enjoy to see quality of life things change.
Yes.
Dirt bikes is one of them. I think there's been work with squeegees on the corners and that kind of thing. How do you respond to things that have been long time issues?
Well, it's a collaboration. So it's not just us in the prosecution, but it's us working with the providers of services. Sure. Like, for instance, we put together the citation docket, and that citation docket is focused on long-time issues. One of the things people are like, oh, it's just loitering and trespass. Well, loitering and trespass lead to other things. We're not trying to lock up individuals, give them a citation. But what about the individual that people see using drugs? That individual may later break into someone's car to try to find something to get money to support their habit. Yeah. The citation docket allows an officer to write that individual citation in lieu of locking them up. They come to court in lieu of having a criminal record or criminal history. They're directed and diverted, hopefully, to the drug treatment programs. Now, if that individual doesn't want that and they want to go back out there and do what they want to do, then eventually we have to hold them accountable in a different way. But we're trying to ensure that they have those services from the very beginning, to give you the services, to give you the help that you need without the criminal history. So now you're able to get yourself together and not worry about the stigma of a criminal conviction.
Yeah, and I think that's the concern for some folks. They are concerned about seeing the same faces. Great, diversion program is great, but will I see the same person without consequence? And it sounds like your office is prepared. If you don't get it right the first time, there is a consequence.
We give them the first time is 5 hours community service.
Okay.
Second time is 10 hours community service. Third time we're going to end up prosecuting you. Okay. Because you understand the process. We've given you a couple bites of the apple, and you've made a determination that you do not want to abide by the law. And so therefore, eventually we have to go ahead and hold you accountable.
Tell me about the word partner that's come up throughout the election right now. You're talking about you need a partner throughout government to help you. The mayor did not sound like, through what you're saying, was that partner. Do you still feel that way after talking with him?
Well, you know, I made a number of endorsements, not just the mayor. I endorsed Angela Alsabrook for the Senate. I endorsed Zeke Cohen also for City Council President. And you also do know I also endorsed Sheila Dixon for mayor. So I have always talked about the partnership. Regardless of what happens in the election, I will work with whomever the citizens and the voters elect. But at the end of the day, I'm focused on the job. I'm focused on doing the job that the citizens elected me to. And regardless, I will be a partner to whomever I need to be.
But you need some reciprocation, I'm imagining.
I do. We have to be on the same wavelength. We need to move in the same direction. I would tell you this is one of the hardest jobs I could have ever imagined. I'm very blessed to have this job, but you know, it's like raising children. They both must be on the same sheet of music, or else it's very difficult.
Tell me a little bit about Brooklyn Homes. We saw that's one big thing that you've been dealing with, the plea deal for a young fella, all suspended except for 5 years. What was that process like, getting to where we are right now?
Well, look, you know, I can't necessarily go into any case, but what I will tell you, when you do a plea bargain, one of the things we look at, we try to talk to the victims. In this case, there really aren't any known victims. You know, we do have the victims of the murder, and which is an absolutely horrific thing. But we also try to take into consideration all the factors, the strength of the case. We take into factors the age, amenability to treatment for the young individuals. We take into, you know, what their role was, what happened. All of that is taken into effect and try to make sure that we're as fair as possible. But the number one thing we have to take into consideration from our point of view is the community safety. Will the community be safer from this situation, and how can we ensure that happens? And that's what we try to do, be as fair as possible.
Okay, good to see you, sir.
Likewise.